Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today is Friday. It is September 22nd, 2023. My name's Jeremy. And this is my first cup. By the way, you can still get this cup in the store. Coffee is amazing, including that coffee. I'm using a new French press. I'll show it to you in a minute. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you starting your day with me. Whether you are here live, and there are some of you here live, whether you're here later, that's great too. Or perhaps if you are listening, we got a comment in the chat. Who's chiming in? Good morning, Mel. Hope you are well. Hope you've had a good week. Well, it's a little bit cold out there. What was it, 48? So 48 degrees. And I kind of want to go back to bed and curl up under this blanket. Good morning, Liz. Yeah, that's just kind of how I'm feeling. But can't do that because big things happening this weekend. This weekend, tomorrow, in fact, is the first ever free training day Mid-Atlantic. I will be in the car shortly, pretty much. As soon as I'm done with this show, I think I'm going to make some food. I think I'm going to cook up some food, throw that in a container, and jump in the car and drive south. I'm going to pick up Craig, who many of you know. We're going to go pick up Mark, who many of you know. And then we are going to drive to Philadelphia to see Jenny, who's in the chat. And she is celebrating as she should. She has worked so hard at this event. I am so proud of her. And Mel says, yeah, could use some more 60-degree weather in the mornings. I completely agree. Good morning to you, Nathan. I know Liz is going to be at Free Training Day Mid-Atlantic. Chris says, see you tomorrow. That is right. Jared's here. He says, love a chilly morning. I drive with the Jeep top down. Well, you are a crazy fool, my friend. But then again, you're in Tennessee. So what's your version of a cold morning? 60? When I first got my Jeep, I was out and stayed out later than I thought I would be and did not have the panels for the roof. I didn't take the doors weren't off, but the top was off. And it got down to, it was in the 50s, 49, 51, somewhere there. And I had the seat heaters on. I had the heat cranked on my legs. I was wearing a sweatshirt, and it was cold. It was cold, I'll tell you. Well, yeah, so very much looking forward to this weekend's event. I know we're going to have a great time. Looking forward to seeing people that I've never met in person before, people that I've only met once in person. This is shaping up to be an incredible event. If you happen to catch this and you were on the fence or didn't know about it or something, you better show up because I cannot imagine a better way for you to spend your weekend. Jenny says, I cannot wait to see everyone. It's going to be so amazing. It is. It absolutely is. So sent out an email last night to everybody on the list. We've got a bunch of new products, and Carl finished up some really cool stuff in the last couple of weeks, and so I wanted to make sure everybody saw that. Hawaiian shirts. There's a new kind of a matching to this image. There's a shirt that goes along with it. There's a pint glass that goes along with it. Ray says, I miss my Jeep. I've had 4 in my life. Such fun. They are a lot of fun. Mine's actually up for sale right now because as much as I enjoy it, it's time. It's time. The used car market's weird. When we come back from Philadelphia, I'm going to work on selling my RAV4 because I have equity in my car. It's such a weird thing to say. So I can sell that car, go buy another car for roughly the same payment, and take the profit on the car, the equity, and use pay down a bill. And yeah. So I mentioned to you when I came on, new French press. I want to show you this monster. If you're like me and you like a French press, and here's why I like a French press for coffee, because it's easy to clean up and it makes good coffee. You know how I clean up my French press? I dump out the coffee grounds. That's it. Because I'm working on selling the house. I don't have a compost bucket in here right now, so I just throw a little bit of water in and toss it out in the yard. That's it. But when I make a French press full of coffee, it starts to cool off sooner than I want it to. So I spent some time on Amazon, because where else do you look for things like this? And I said, who makes an insulated French press? Yeti doesn't make one. None of those kind of Yetis make one. You know who does? Stanley. This thing is 42 ounces, so it's over a liter. It is double wall insulated, and it's awesome. I am very happy with it. So if you are like me, you might want to check that out. It was, for what it is, it wasn't expensive. I think it was like $60, but I'll never need to buy another one. Lifetime warranty and all that. Good morning to you, Frank. And Andy says, cold isn't the word on the bike. Yeah. There is no amount of clothing that gets me on a bike below 60 degrees. Just not worth it. Oh, coffee is good. Well, good. Dennis says, oh, Jenny, is that this weekend? Always the jokester. Good morning to you, Dennis. So glad to see so many of my friends this morning. And he says, thank goodness for Kelly sending me out with coffee. That's great. The other thing I want to remind you of is the voting for the Never Settle Awards is live. And the best thing to do is go to whistlekick.com and you can find the page under for individuals. There's a link for Never Settle Awards, and you can look at all the wonderful nominees and you can vote for them. And we will be awarding the recipients their awards. That's a terrible sentence. At the banquet, the evening of Free Trading Day Northeast, aka the Saturday of Marshall Summit. Well, Jenny's playing back. Oh man, did I forget to tell you? Yeah. Dennis, of course, is presenting at Free Trading Day Mid-Atlantic. There's a whole bunch of us coming from the Northeast. In fact, it's some manner of invasion. I don't know. It's something. I don't know. There's got to be some Revolutionary War thing we can kind of steal, but maybe not. All right. Good morning to you. And Andrew's awake. Good morning, Andrew. Look at all these people here. All right. So let's do the jokes. Frank sent over jokes. Thank you, as always, to Frank for all that you do. Thank you to Josh for our theme song. Josh will be presenting this weekend at Mid-Atlantic. And thank you to Denise for our audio. Just great. The jokes. Today is Hobbit Day. All right, let's zoom in on this so y'all can read it. We're going to get zoomed in. How's that framing? All right, that's good. All right, the jokes for Fun Day Friday. It's Hobbit Day. What do you call a movie about a gangster hobbit? YOLO Swaggins and the Fellowship of the Bling. Opening strong. Oh, that's great. What do you call a hobbit party? A little get-together. Why shouldn't you upset a dwarf? Because he's got a short temper. The elves in The Lord of the Rings look down upon anyone who is different from them. It's pretty messed up. They're so arrow-minded. What do you call a Lord of the Rings fan with a sprained ankle? A hoblet. Good study hobbits require a photographic memory. What's wrong with staying up late to watch Lord of the Rings movies? It's a bad hobbit. By the way, the Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy, is, I believe, one of the strongest pieces of cinema ever. Shout out to Peter Jackson for doing such a great job. I think it's the I understand why people are obsessed over the original Star Wars trilogy, because that I feel that strongly about the Lord of the Rings movies. How many quarters does it take to play the new Lord of the Rings arcade game? None. It only takes tokens. My wife is the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. Every night I hear her token in her sleep. It's hard to make that word in a sentence. Tolkien. How did the Hobbit ruin the wrestling match? He tried to destroy the ring. My math teacher used to quote the Lord of the Rings to us. She used to say, "You shall not pass." How did Bilbo Baggins know when his neighbor had died? He read it in the Hobbituary. My son asked me if the Santa's elves were the same elves from Lord of the Rings. I said, "Grow up, son. You're 42 years old." There's a double joke in there if your nerd cred runs deep. I went to see my doctor today about a problem. I keep reading Lord of the Rings over and over again. She told me not to worry. It's just Force of Hobbit. I used to be addicted to Lord of the Rings, but then I kicked the Hobbit. Good stuff. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate you. Jenny says, I resemble these short jokes. Just reading in the chat, the idea that so many folks from the Northeast are coming down. Chris says, it's a nor'easter. And Jenny says, the people that know what Free Training Day is all about had to come down for Free Training Day Mid-Atlantic. If you know, you know. If you don't, come see us this weekend. Very, very true. And Andrew, ironically enough, is going to be in the area, but has a band competition. So super funny that that's happening. But what are you going to do? See, here's the beauty. Coffee. More coffee. Now I have more coffee. It also doubles as a weapon. You could. It's not the sturdiest thing on earth, but it's pretty darn rugged. And it's way more rugged than the glass ones that most people have. So how was your week? What did you do? What were your highlights? Any wins? We're working on rolling out a new initiative for Whistlekick, and I'm really excited about it. I've spent a lot of time on that. But other than that, recorded 3 great podcast episodes this week. Had wonderful meetings with a variety of members of the team. The Never Settle Awards are cranking along. A lot of really great things happening. And of course, we are at, 7 weeks or so, 6 to 7 weeks for Marshall Summit next month in just about 4 weeks. I think it's a month from today, actually. I fly out to Seattle for Free Training Day Pacific Northwest. Andrew played at the TD Garden, which is Boston's big indoor stadium this week, which was pretty awesome. And Jenny says about the French press, if you can't say it also doubles as a weapon about anything, you don't need it in your life. Well, if that becomes the justification, which I understand that wasn't the justification, but if that's the standard, just about anything can be a weapon. If you can't come up with a way to use it as a weapon, you're not trying hard enough. So one of the things I've been doing, because that French press is so massive that it takes a lot of coffee. It takes a lot of coffee. One of the things I've been doing, I have this cocoa powder. So I've been throwing that in, and it becomes mocha. Mocha's on demand. Very tasty. As well as theanine, and if I was a little more motivated this morning, I would have also thrown in some maca powder. So, yeah. It's going to be a long weekend. because we're also teaching a level 1 course on Sunday. And not too late to get in on that. If you would like to, you can still sign up at whistlekick.com. You're looking for the one in Boothwyn, Pennsylvania. Andrew says, I say that all the time at the post office. Are there weapons in this package? I could be shipping pencils. That could be a weapon. So true. So true. All right, let's move over to the discussion topics. Let's see where those take us today. Good morning, Mark. See, all these people are here because they're getting ready to drive south. They all have these long days ahead of them, and maybe next year we'll have a bus. I don't know. I want a bus. I don't even think it's a good idea. I just think it would be a lot of fun to just drive around and pick up all my friends on a bus, and then we drive south. Not a school bus, because those don't have bathrooms. A tour bus. Maybe when I sell the house, I'll move into a tour bus. I won't. Oh, you know what was really difficult to make happen? It took far longer than I expected. Getting a storage unit. Because as I prep to sell this house, I'm trying to get things out of here. And there are a variety of storage unit places around here. And guess what? Nobody calls you back. Finally got one person to call me back. Ironically enough, it's the closest one. I thought they had flooded in the recent flooding. They did not. So that's where we're going to go. Good morning, Joe. All right. So here we go. What do we got with the quotes today? September is National Mushroom Month. I had no idea. To understand the history of National Mushroom Month, one should perhaps understand exactly what a mushroom is. When most people think of a mushroom, they're either thinking of the white button mushrooms commonly used in cuisine or the red-topped white speckled mushrooms that are taken recreationally. But what exactly is a mushroom? What we think of as the mushroom isn't actually the mushroom. Instead, it is the fruiting body, just think of it as the fruit, of a fungus found in the ground. The mushroom's fruiting body is formed so that it can spread its spores and reproduce, but it just so happens that certain members of this family are absolutely delicious. Mushrooms have an incredible variety of uses that don't stop in the kitchen. While high in vitamin D, an important resource for processing calcium and making strong bones, they also have medicinal properties. Some mushrooms are used for dyeing wool, with surprisingly vibrant colors available in their spectrum. There are also mushrooms that are used for medicinal purposes, with certain varieties exhibiting anti-cancer properties. Additionally, mushrooms have been used for cleaning up human messes, as they are exceptionally good at pulling radiation out of the ground. National Mushroom Month celebrates all of these facts about the mushroom and seeks to raise awareness about these incredible fungi, and all they do for us. So I don't want to say always, but I find mushrooms fascinating. You can eat them, like that write-up said. There are mushrooms that can clean up waste. There are mushrooms that can break down plastic. There are mushrooms that are used, as we saw, medicinally. Have you ever wondered why mushrooms have such a diverse number of ways that they can make a positive impact in human life? You ever thought about that? I bet you haven't. Mushrooms share a tremendous amount of genetic information with human beings. In fact, it's something like 50% of the DNA of a mushroom is also found in human beings. More than you would find in a plant versus a mushroom, right? That crossover is kind of interesting. And so some people, not me, some people have said that mushrooms are kind of here for us. Maybe they are. Maybe you believe that. Andrew says, I'm a fun guy. And Jenny agrees. I like mushrooms. I'm not a mushroom connoisseur. I do not harvest mushrooms. There's a lot of risk in that. Every year, people who have been harvesting mushrooms for years get fooled and die. Not really something I'm going to be able to do without losing my mind in terms of anxiety. But I've got some chaga that a friend that I trust gives me. I've got some in there. Uh, there's a product on Amazon that I like called Sacred 7 mushroom powder, and it's got a bunch of different mushrooms in it. It's really good stuff and relatively inexpensive. You can put it in with your coffee. I don't, but you could. It works well in there. And I think that mushrooms become a really good example of what we can do with our lives. Mushrooms are everywhere. Mushrooms have tremendous variety. And while there are companies that cultivate mushrooms, mushrooms seem to have no problem growing wherever they feel like it. In fact, you've probably found mushrooms around, maybe even in your house, in places that you didn't want them to be. They keep popping up. I think a mushroom is a great example of a life form that refuses to die. It is persistent in the ultimate way that something could be persistent. And I think we can take a lesson from the mushroom. Some people will say, "Oh, in the context of their profession, usually, I'm a mushroom." Well, what does that mean? Well, I'm kept in the dark and fed. Do you all eat mushrooms? Do you put mushrooms in your salad? Do you, do you have a favorite kind of mushroom? Mushroom can work. You can marinate them. Grilled portobellos are pretty darn good. Andrew says he loves mushrooms. Jenny loves mushrooms. Mel loves mushrooms. Dennis says pineapple is a far better pizza topping than mushrooms. Fight me. I like mushrooms on pizza, but they have to be cooked well. In fact, I would say they probably need to be cooked a little bit before they go on the pizza. Growing up, mushroom pizza was a favorite in my house. I haven't had a good mushroom pizza in a while. Hello, bird. There's a small bird out there. So, as you go through your weekend, and I'm going to see many of you, which is fun, but as you go through your weekend, I want you to contemplate mushrooms. Mushrooms make the best out of the situation they're in. Most plants do this, but I think we can make the argument that mushrooms do an exceptionally good job. There are days where you are fed and you've got to make the best of it. You can complain about it, you can give up, or you can say, you know what, let me get through this and let's see what's on the other side. What's on the other side hopefully will be better. Maybe it won't be, but you just keep going. That's the way we approach things as martial artists. We continue to make the best of the situation that we have, no matter what it is, and we work to make that next opportunity a little bit easier. And I think that we deserve that. Because what's the alternative? You quit. You complain. I think any one of us, if pressed, could come up with a situation that we thought was going to be terrible, ended up being pretty good. If you describe to someone who never had a mushroom what a mushroom is, well, they tend to grow in this stuff that you never eat. It's kind of gross. You show what a sporing mushroom looks like to that person, right? Like, mushrooms are kind of icky if you think about it. But as we saw when I put people's comments on screen. Mushrooms are pretty darn tasty. If the mushroom can do it, you can do it. And if you enjoy sort of scary things and you haven't already watched The Last of Us from HBO, go watch it. You will not think about mushrooms the same way. I appreciate all of you. Watch later today as I post a link on my personal Facebook about the apparel rollout for the karate school, which, by the way, is going great. We've had, our 5th class? We've had 5 classes. We're slowly adding students. It's going well. I'm really excited. And yeah, you're all welcome to visit. Frank says, some people use mushrooms as a hamburger bun. I've never thought of doing that, but actually that's a great idea. A lightly grilled mushroom retains a little bit of that soft texture. That's a good call. Jenny says, new t-shirt. If the mushroom can do it, you can do it. And Andrew says, have a great weekend, everyone. I'm bummed to miss Free Training Day Mid-Atlantic. We will be bummed to miss you. A great example of so close and yet so far. I hope you have a great weekend no matter what you do. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your continued support in showing up for this show and then whatever other things that you do. If you haven't been checking out the podcast, don't forget, Martial Arts Radio continues to release 2 episodes each and every week. We're getting better at a lot of things. And when it comes to the show, I just want to recognize Andrew for the incredible hard work that he is doing now with also all the editing. He's killing it over there. So thank you, my friend. All right, everybody. You be well. I will talk to you in a week, if not sooner.